Hello, my beautiful goddesses, and welcome to the Editing Masterclass. I am so excited to run you through some edits and show you exactly how I edit my photos and take you behind the scenes of some little tricks and tips that I would love to share with you. For those of you that are new here, that might not know me yet, let me just do a really quick introduction. So my name is Nami Julia Hamper, and I am a woman portraits photographer. I am actually the founder of the original Goddess Shoot, which I created about 6 years ago when I was back in New Zealand, and I really always felt drawn to empowering women, and photography was something I've always been doing on the side. But back in 2019 I was going through quite a rough time, and I decided to just follow the one thing that I truly enjoy doing, and that was photography for me. And fast forward to 6 years later, to 2025, I was able to empower over 1,000 women with my Goddess Shoot experiences, which are transformative photo shoot experience to guide women back to their own inner goddess essence. And I am so fortunate and so grateful that for the past 10 months I was able to travel with my family all over the world to do my work and to empower women all over the world as well. And today's photo shoot is located in beautiful Edição, Portugal, where I DM'd Thais, who is this beautiful, unique looking model that I actually saw in a magazine back in 2019. Like, isn't it funny how the universe works? Anyway, I saw this woman in a magazine, and I've never seen anyone as unique and different looking and beautiful in her own unique way as Thais is. And I remember looking at this magazine thinking, oh my god, imagine being able to shoot this woman. I never thought I would be able to. Like, she is a very famous Vogue model. She worked for big brands like Miu Miu. She done many runways all over the world, but I don't know, I feel like the universe and God sometimes guides you to the most serendipitous moments. And when I saw her living in Portugal, I had to reach out to her, and the other day I was able to create some beautiful magic with her, and I wanted to do this editing video to share this magic with you as well, to be part in this joyfulness that I was able to experience. So get yourself a cup of tea, get yourself comfortable. The next 40-some minutes are dedicated for you, for yourself, for your business, for your own growth, and for your own passion as well. And I truly hope you learn a thing or two, and you are just as excited as I am to be here. Anyway, without further ado, let's do it. Let's get into it. I just opened my Lightroom library, and you can see here are the photos that I selected for us today. There's 21 photos in total. I completely overshot the shoot. This is something I tend to do when I get really excited. I feel like some of you can relate to that, but I selected 21 photos that are quite diverse, that are different. There's different settings I used, there's different backgrounds I used, different clothing we wore, so you really get a all-round insight of the different photos we were able to take on the day, and all the different editings that I will do based on each photo as well. So sit back, get yourself a cup of tea if you want, have some crisps ready. I actually have just been eating some popcorn, but I need to stop because I'm talking to you guys now. But without further ado, let's get into it. So I'm just gonna go into develop mode here, and I'm gonna move my beautiful face out of the way. So let's start. You can see on the left hand side here are all of the presets that I use. These are the Nami Creative Golden presets. These are the only presets that I use, the only presets you honestly need when it comes to portrait photography. And the most incredible thing with them is I've really tried and tested them over the decade, and also now traveling in particular, I really could take them with me and test them out, because they worked all well and wonderfully in Australasia, New Zealand and Australia, but I haven't actually tried them out in Japan or in Bali or now in Europe, and they just work a bloody treat. So I'm so proud of them. Anyway, if you have them already, they should just be in your library on the left here. I favorited mine because, like I said before, these are the only ones I work with. So you can see what you can do is just select what type of look you want to go for, and I'm gonna start with the Japan preset because I think it's just quite nice and natural, and then I'm just gonna remove a little bit of the preset. So on the left side here, what you can do is once you apply a preset, you can actually decrease the strength of the preset, and you can remove it to make it closer to the original shot image, which I personally think is always quite nice, because that way you can keep a little bit of the natural coloring of the photo, but also still add like that little bit of professionalism, that little bit of magic, that little bit of glow to each of your photos, and to keep them therefore cohesive as well. So I'm gonna detect the subject, which I do with this little tool here, and then I go to detect subject. What it does, it basically selects only her, and that way I can bring her out a little bit. I do this just a little bit because you can see if you were to do it like a lot, it's kind of really weird. So I usually always do it under 0.5, so around this mark I think works really, really well. And then what I would like to do here is I would like to remove a little bit of these fluffy dust particles that are on her jumper. So I use the healing tool for that, and what it does, it selects kind of parts that are nearby, and that way you can remove really nicely those little fluffy things which I found a little bit disturbing. So for her, because she's covering her face like that, it creates like a natural shadow right here which I want to bring out a little bit. So what I do again is I'm gonna go to the brush tool this time, and what this does is I'm gonna just brush over where she is a little bit darker, and I just pop the exposure up, and you can see what that does. It just brightens up a little bit of this patch here that was prior a little bit dark. So I find her hand as well as part of her beautiful hair is a little bit overexposed. So we're gonna go in with the brush tool again and just go over her hand and just the little parts of her hair that look a little bit overexposed, because we shot in direct sunlight, which can be quite scary, especially if you're working with someone that has very fair skin and very light hair. What can happen is the sun is so harsh that it overexposes your photo. But don't worry, we can save a lot with post-production. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the exposure down a little bit, and you can see on her hand, can you see what it's doing? It's just removing the harshness of the sun. I do that with the white as well, and then with the highlights as well. And it did the same in the parts of her hair that are highlighted. So if we just look at the before and after now, I think it's such a beautiful, gentle edit. I don't want to edit this photo too much. However, I really like the color grading that we managed to get here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and see, which means I'm copying the exact edit, the exact preset settings that I've used on this photo, so I can now apply it on any other photos that I want to keep in color as well. So for me, I want to do it on this photo, so I command and V, and you can see it just really just slightly, ever so slightly edited her photo nicely. And I'm also gonna detect the subject again, because I want her to just pop out that tiny little bit. And you can see here she is quite overexposed on that side, because the sun was kind of like right up there doing its thing. So we're gonna do again the same thing that we did on the first photo. We're gonna select the brush tool and we just gonna just kind of go along where her hair is just a little bit overexposed, and then we're gonna put the exposure down a little bit, We're also going to put the white down a little bit and the highlights down a little bit. And you can see it just saves that harshness of the sun a little bit. Okay, we jumped ahead. I didn't edit photo number 2 because for myself, this is a black and white photo. I really feel like with the beautiful lines of the water here, and then the other line here, and then her just standing there, for me this is a black and white photo. So what I do is I usually just go through my black and white presets and select the one that I like the most. I feel like they're all really good, but I might just stick with the classic. And then I just gonna adjust a little bit of the dimension. I always use the horizon line as my guiding line to how I want to adjust the background and how I want to adjust the photo. And then again, I'm gonna bring her out a little bit so she pops. And then the sand, if you know me, if you've been following me for a while and you've been here before, you know I get so triggered by footprints in the sand. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use the remove tool, which is the AI tool. I selected that and I'm just gonna go over this. Quite extreme, like I always select more than I wanna edit, but what that does is it helps AI to generate something that they believe it looks like. So hopefully it will now think, okay, wonderful. It realized, okay, she wants it to be smooth, but this shadow now looks really aggressive. So we're just gonna go through the different variations here. How good? Like, I'm not even kidding. How good is that? If you compare that to before, messy, now it just looks like art, and it really brings out, I personally think, this curve, and it's less distracted. The last thing that I want to edit out here is with the plastery tool here is I don't like this thing there. So I just want to select that. I don't know why you went up there, unnecessary. I'm just going to go down here next to it and just remove that, because I feel like now the attention doesn't get drawn to this little piece there. It's just like a lot more focused on her. We already edited this photo, so we're gonna go on to the next one, and I'm just gonna Command V again, the same edit that we used on the first and the third photo, just to keep it cohesive. And what I want to edit here is I want to bring her face out a little bit, because I do think, because she's holding her arm like that, again, she's just a little bit in the shadow on this side, so it doesn't have to be marked perfect. I think I just pop out the color a little bit, and I also gonna actually bring out the texture a little bit. And what this does is it's just gives her face a little bit more sharpness and clarity. Because she's in the shadow, her face naturally is going to be a little bit less sharp than what I want it to be. Yeah, and I personally really like it. You can look before and after. It's just like a ever so slight edit. Okay, we've got a close-up photo here. So again, I'm going to do the Command in V. And for this photo, I want it to be a little bit brighter, because I think you can just see her beautiful features. And I'm just going to go in a little bit and see if there's anything I want to edit out. If you know me, my ethos, my values, everything I stand for is, if it's still there in 2 weeks, I'm not going to edit it out. However, she has like a tiny little pimple here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use again this plastery tool. It will just select something from nearby and just remove that. And then I think here you can see this little piece there. I don't know if that's her hair or a reflection of my camera. So also I'm gonna remove that, because I don't think that's what she usually has there, and it's just fair to remove that for her. And then what I want to do is I want to bring her eyes. I want to make them pop a little bit more. So I'm going to use the brush tool here. And I ever so slightly gonna go over both of her eyes. And then I'm gonna put up the exposure a little bit, which will make her eyes a little bit brighter. And then I will also again use my texture and my clarity. I pop those up, and also the sharpness. Don't do it too much, because I think if you do it too much, you can just tell and it just looks fake. It just looks edited, I think. But ever so slightly, you can see, actually you can see me. I always think this is so funny when I can see myself in someone's eyes. But I personally really like this photo. I also, for this photo, actually like that her hair is overlit in the background, because it just gives it a little bit of a bouquet, almost like a angel, like, what is it called, like the halo. It gives it like a bit of a halo vibe. So I'm gonna actually in this case leave it on. Okay, I'm gonna do the Command V again for this one, because I selected my presets. However, if you want, you can also obviously start right from the start again and just select a preset that you want to use. However, I think for myself, the Japan green works really well, because it's a really soft preset, because I really like the lighting, the blues. I really like her, you know, her blonde hair, so I don't want to change it too much. I'm gonna just adjust it a little bit so the horizon is cut out, because I actually think it looks really cool when, let me just see the before, when that isn't in. Like, I personally prefer it, because it looks like she is just kind of like floating in the sky, and it gives the photo just again a little bit more a curiosity factor, like you're like, ooh, what's going on here? So you can see she is again a little bit overlit here, because we were shooting in direct sunlight. So what I'm gonna do is, again, I'm gonna use the brush tool to just go slightly, ever so slightly, over the parts that are a little bit bright, and then I'm gonna just see, maybe her décolleté is a little bit overlit as well. And then I'm gonna do my usual exposure down ever so slightly, and I'm gonna put the whites down a little bit as well. Beautiful. And I think that is enough. I don't want to do too much on this. Beautiful. And then this one, I don't know if this is a black and white photo. I feel like, I don't know, is it a color? Like, this is where I'm always like, oh my god, is it color, is it black and white? I feel like that's one of my biggest struggles as a photographer, but I feel like this is a beautiful color photo. So you can see this photo is a little bit brighter than this one. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna copy the settings that I've just used on this one for the next photo, because they are more shot alike than number 6 and 7. Number 7 and 8 are a lot more alike when it comes to the lighting I used, the settings I used on the camera itself. However, now looking at this photo, black and white, it's a black and white photo for me. I think it just looks so, I don't know, interesting. It makes you look twice. Okay. So we changed outfits and we changed locations a little bit, and we waited for the light to go down more. So you can see it's a very different look. It's because she's wearing something white as well. I feel like it's completely different to this contrasty look that we had going, and it's a lot more soft. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna start editing from ground zero, because it's different lighting, it's a complete new look. So I like to start, when it comes to new looks, to kind of start again from ground zero. And I'm gonna use the same preset, so the overall cohesiveness of this photo shoot is still kind of like there. I'm not gonna actually change this preset. I think it's perfect as it is. It doesn't really need much changing there. I'm just gonna have a quick look at her skin. I think I'm just gonna edit this out here, because it's obviously not her natural skin, and because it's such a beautiful close-up, I want to edit out just a little bit of the skin imperfections that are completely normal and that everyone has. But yeah, I think this is pretty beautiful as it is. Like, how stunning is this woman? I just can't get over her. I think, yeah, she is so beautiful. But I'm really happy with this photo. Like, if you look at before and after, I literally just applied my preset onto her and the photo looks so professional, which is what I love. I don't want you to spend hours editing. I mean, if you love it, go hard. But I'm the type of person, I love to shoot and I love my editing process to be as simple as possible. And I think these presets are exactly that. This is a typical Nami creative photo. I think maybe you can relate, but when I work with big names, and this woman is a professional model, she's done runways all over the world, she has been in the Vogue, she's been like working with massive brands, that I find I can start to doubt myself. I can become a little bit like, oh my god, I have to shoot exactly like the Vogue photographer shot her, or I better all of a sudden learn all of these new skills before this photo shoot. But I've learned that I want to keep my style alive as well, and it took me years to get to this place of confidence and this place of groundedness that my work and my artistic eye is actually perfect just the way it is. And I want you to remember that for yourself as well, that when you maybe work with someone that has maybe done many photo shoots before, or someone that maybe is a professional model, or someone that maybe has a big following on Instagram, and you get really nervous before photo shoots, I want you to just come back to your truth and come back to your inner knowing and your inner, I don't know, creative guidance that you will have, that we all have within ourselves. And this photo in particularly really reminded me of that I have within me, because if you know my kind of work, you know I love working with the natural elements, I love involving birds, I love the person being out of focus, and this is a very me photo. And I think for me, being here where I am now and being able to talk about this has been a long journey. But when you're just starting out and you feel intimidated by the person you're shooting, or you're not entirely sure whether your art or your creative vision is valid, it is. I need you to know this, it is. And I want you to keep it alive no matter who you're shooting and who you're working with. Okay, so this photo, actually, when I posted it online, I got so many people asking me how I shot it and how I got this shot. So I've actually bought this really cool, oh my god, look. Oh. I bought this really cool lens. I will link it below where you can get these lenses. Really enjoy working with it. Like you can see the result, it just looks really cool. Again, because it's shot quite differently to number 9, it's a different background. We again wait a little bit for the light to change. I'm gonna start again working from ground zero. I start from the top, from the start. I'm gonna start with the green Japan preset though, and I'm gonna just make it a bit more yellow and a bit more burgundy, just to get that really angelic, beautiful kind of feel to it. I also don't know about you, but this little bugger here distracts me a little bit. These I don't mind, I think they kind of add to the interesting factor of the photo. However, that one I didn't really like, because I still want her to be the star of the show and for your eyes to get drawn in by her, not that little subject that was there. So I removed it for now. I'm gonna detect her again, and I'm gonna just bring her out a little bit. I just love this photo so much, and I love this lens so much. I will link it below where I got it. I like to take it to photo shoots just to add a little bit more depth to the story that you're creating. I just command seed again, and I will command V onto here, because I just want to keep it cohesive, but I kind of feel like I don't need to do anything else here. And this, let me just see what let me just command V and see what that looks like. I think that actually looks perfect. What I want to do is I want to just bring the texture up a little bit, so she is a little bit more sharp. And I think I want to bring her out just a little bit, so she doesn't get swallowed by the backlit. There you go. And I also want to actually sharpen her a little bit, which I again do with the clarity and with the texture, not too much, and also with the sharpness function. Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful photo. If we just compare before and after, you can see Stunning, isn't she? And then this next photo, again, completely imperfect, but completely my vibe. When I shot it, sometimes I straight away know, ooh, is this a black and white photo or isn't it a black and white photo? For me, I straight away knew this is a black and white photo, and I actually kind of like the contrast quite high for this one. I might just take out a little bit of the shadow, you can see, so the black is just a little bit more muted. These bloody footprints, so annoying. So I'm gonna see what AI can do for me here, because I don't want them in my photo. I want it to be clean, and I just want her to be the star of the show. So I'm gonna see if AI can pick it up. Otherwise I have to do it manually. But to be honest, ooh, got my back. So you can see before and after, beautiful, weird, random shot. I remember my arts teacher being to me like, Nami, you should definitely not pursue an artistic career because you're not good at it. And he would have probably given me a C- for this shot because it's not clear, it makes no sense, it's unsharp, it's like you can't even see her face. And those are like often my favorite photos. So honestly, just trust your own artistic vision. That's all I can say. I V'd again, Command V'd from this previous setting because it's again within the same story, and what I want to do here is I just want to remove these little flyaways here because they just, I find, a little bit disturbing. So I'm gonna use AI and actually see what AI can do for me in this instant. If not, I will just have to do it manually. I think it's just those few strains that are like bothering me a little bit. So let's see what we can do. Is it gonna pick it up? Yay! Picked it up. So you can see, if you compare it to before, these little flyaways here are just like disappeared a little bit, but I kind of still want her to pop out a little bit more. So I'm gonna just create the with detecting subject tool. I'm just gonna bring her out a little bit there, and I think she's pretty perfect to go. I might just remove this little blemish she has there, and then like this little one there, maybe just this one here. Yeah, beautiful, perfect. And then this is just such a beautiful detail shot. I think photography for myself is all about storytelling, and I think especially when you post photos online, it's, I think, more interesting to add a few detail shots, to add a few photos that kind of don't make a lot of sense, because then it creates a story, then it creates a feeling. And I think when you create feelings with your photography, when you create a story, that's really what awakes emotions. And I think as a photographer, I love to evoke emotions through my art, through my creativity, not just for myself and the model, but for everyone that then also gets to enjoy my art through social media, through these classes that you're like attending right now. So yeah, make sure you take some detail shots as well, and make sure you move around lots. So this shot here, I just want to show you the settings that I used. I actually did this shot with a really low shutter speed, and you can see it's really blurry, which I like. And I think for myself, I feel like this is a black and white photo for me. She just looks, I don't know, it's just, it just makes me feel something. It just makes me feel, I don't know, I can't really put it into words, but maybe you get it. If you get it, please let me know, because sometimes I try to explain things and I don't have the right words, and then people are like, what do you mean exactly? Okay, the last one didn't work, let me just see. But I kind of feel like I'm not gonna remove, I'll show you in a second, I'm not gonna remove these stones and that, because it kind of almost like works as a triangle pointing towards her, which I like. So I'm gonna leave that. And then here I just gonna use that preset again and just darken it a little bit. For this I'm gonna remove the rocks because they are actually not adding, they are, in my opinion, disturbing the viewer a little bit. So I just gonna quickly remove them with the plastery looking tool here. See how well we can go without using AI. Sometimes it works quite well as well by just using the OG tool here. And I think overall this is really perfect. There's not much more we have to do here. Maybe just this little stone here, I might remove that because I feel like it's not adding anything. There we go. Okay, and then this is the next photo. For me again, when I shot it, I was like, okay, this is a black and white photo. And I'm gonna show you how footprints are actually gonna become an advantage for your photo. I know this might be unheard of and you might not believe me, but you can see the lines here, right? Her walking. That actually would create a beautiful story if these silly things weren't there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use AI for this because it's gonna help me remove this way faster. So just gonna go all over the rocks that I don't want to show, which is kind of like the ones that are not in line with this walk she is taking to get to the shore. So everything else I want to remove because I feel like it's distracting. So let's wait a moment and see what AI comes up with. Sometimes it takes a while. And I always think what the things I can do while AI is working. Like, oh, often I start scrolling and then I'm like, oops, 5 minutes later it's way finished and I'm still scrolling. Not good. Okay, but it was worth the wait, wasn't it? So let me just, you can see now how these footprints are actually adding a beautiful detail to this shot. So I'm gonna just go over with my manual OG tool here and just remove some of the things that AI didn't really pick up that I think still kind of shouldn't be there. So you can see like the little shadows here. I don't really want them in. That one can go, this one can go. I feel like this one is maybe a little bit distractive as well, and this little bugger. And this one. Now, I thought the day will never come that I will say footprints in the sand are actually adding some beauty to a photo, but here is the day. And let me just, with this brush tool, just go over this, so like that, and make it a bit darker. So again, it creates some lines, just a tiny bit, not too much. And put the shadows down a little bit. And maybe I just make it a little bit more, give it a bit more texture so you can see the rocks a little bit more. But now I feel like it's a story. It creates a story of her walking to the water. What is this though? That's not part of my story. Excuse me. You need to get out of here. Okay, let's see. Beautiful. I actually really like this now, you know, and we might just make sure the horizon is even. Ta-da! Beautiful. Okay, this photo, I don't know why, but it just awakes emotions in me, and I don't know, for me that's what photography is all about. It's about making people feel. So AI, again, these footprints, I don't want to see them. They're not part of my vision and aesthetics, so I'm going to try to get rid of them by doing this. I think I want him gone as well, and this little dot and this little thing here. So let's see what AI comes up with. Okay, it picked up some of it. It didn't pick up all of it. So let's just see the different variations. I think that's quite good. That's perfect. You see, it just kind of removed all of it. And then what I usually do is I go over it. I feel like by now you kind of know my workflow quite well. I will just go over all of these little pieces that it didn't pick up with AI and just perfect it a little bit, which is like this piece here. We don't need that. Beautiful. This little piece. Now, beautiful, 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 beautiful photo. And just bring it down a little bit. If you just see the before and the after, I just love the movement. I love how, I just love this photo so much. It's just imperfect, but it's in the moment. It makes you feel. And then this last photo, I think she's so beautiful. I just gonna leave this black and white. It's so imperfect. Black and white shot, which is just so sweet. It just really, it shows her personality, and I think that's what I love about working with different women from all over the world. Is like, I remember when I saw this woman in a magazine in 2019, and I wanted to photograph her so badly, and I got to photograph her. And sometimes we can get so intimidated by other women that might be, you know, of a different status or from a different part of the world, or they are maybe in a magazine or whatever, but I don't think we should be. I think, like, she was the most loveliest down-to-earth person, ever, and I think that's why she is so successful, you know. But I feel like photography is such a beautiful way to connect, and photography for me for the past 10 months really has been my in into different countries, my in into different friendships, my in into different creative projects. So I'm so grateful for photography. I'm so grateful that you are here and that you want to learn from me. And yeah, if you have any questions, you know, my DMs are always open. I will link below where I got my wonderful kaleidoscope lens from. I will link below the presets in case you want to get them, and I am actually adding the mobile presets in for free as a thank you for you watching. So if you want to, you know, have a play around with the golden presets, I can't recommend them highly enough, and I understand they're my own presets, so I have to have their back, and I truly have their back, and I'm so confident that these presets are gonna truly become such a wonderful tool for you to, you know, like, develop your own unique style, for you to have more fun when you edit as well, because I find editing is a part of the photography process, and when you nail it and when you really know what you're doing, it actually becomes joyful, and it doesn't have to be this thing that you're dreading. Like, for myself, I love to make myself a cup of tea and just enjoy editing, because I'm so good at it now, and I've got all the tools, like all of the presets that I need, that I know will enhance each of my photos, no matter what time of the day I shoot, no matter who I'm shooting, no matter where in the world I am, that I feel so much more confident as well going at a photo shoot, knowing that I got this, like, I know what I'm doing, because I also know that post-production, as you saw today, can change so much. So grateful that you're here with me, so grateful that you decided to learn from me and with me, and that you're here part of the community. If you have any questions, you know, reach out, comment below, and yeah, I'm excited to see where our journey will take us next.